It was a foggy November morning in New York City, the kind where everything feels muffled, like the world had taken a deep breath and forgot to exhale. Cars rushed below the Brooklyn Bridge, their lights cutting through the mist like small, desperate prayers. Thomas Reed stood on the edge, a 53-year-old man with shoulders once proud but now slouched under years of invisible weight. His suit was wrinkled, his shoes scuffed, and in his eyes was a tiredness that went far beyond lack of sleep. He had built a life that no longer felt like his own, a corporate ladder climbed only to realize it led nowhere. He clutched a folded letter in his pocket, a resignation, but not just from his job, from everything. As he stared into the icy river below, he heard a small voice behind him, soft, curious. "Why are you standing there like that, mister?" Thomas turned. A little girl, maybe 7, red coat, backpack too big for her tiny shoulders, no adult in sight. "Go away," he muttered, trying to harden his voice. But she didn't flinch. Instead, she stepped closer. "You dropped this," she said, holding up a photograph. His photograph, a faded image of a younger Thomas with his daughter, Emily, in his arms. She had been 5 then. That was 20 years ago. He hadn't even noticed it fall from his coat. He took the photo from the girl's hand with trembling fingers. Her eyes were clear, steady, too knowing for her age. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Hope," she replied. "I'm waiting for the school bus." Hope didn't leave. She just stood there beside him, looking out over the bridge like she understood something he didn't. "I like this place," she said, swinging her legs over the edge of the walkway. Thomas watched her nervously. "Be careful," she giggled. "Why, afraid I'll fall." His throat tightened. She looked up at him, her expression softening. "Sometimes people just need someone to see them." He blinked. "What?" "My mom says that. She says when you see someone really see them, you give them back their light. Your mom sounds wise." He said, forcing a smile. "She died last year." The words hit like a freight train. "I'm sorry," he whispered. She shrugged. "It's okay. She still talks to me sometimes, in my dreams. She told me to keep looking for people who look like they've forgotten the sky." Thomas looked at her again. Really looked, Hope, with eyes that had seen too much, yet somehow still sparkled. A child carrying grief, yet handing out pieces of light. "Do you believe in signs?" he asked. "I believe in people," she replied, "even the broken ones." They walked together, hand in hand, toward the edge of the bridge where the fog was beginning to lift. As they walked, Hope told him stories about her school, her foster family, how she missed pancakes on Sundays, and how she drew smiley faces on sticky notes to leave in the library books. Thomas laughed, genuinely, for the first time in what felt like years. They reached the bus stop, and sure enough, a yellow school bus rolled up. The doors hissed open. Hope turned to him. "You gonna be okay?" Thomas knelt. "I don't know, but I think I'd like to be." She handed him something, a small, folded piece of paper. "Open it later," he nodded. She smiled, then skipped onto the bus, waving at him through the fogged-up window. And just like that, she was gone. Back in his apartment, Thomas sat on his worn couch, photograph in one hand, the folded paper in the other. He opened it. Inside was a crude drawing of a sun, shining over a stick figure with a sad face turning into a happy one. Underneath, in wobbly, childish letters, it said, "You matter. You're someone's reason to smile. Be someone's sky today. Hope." His eyes welled up, and for the first time in months, he didn't feel like disappearing. He felt seen. The next morning, Thomas didn't go to his office. Instead, he went to the local library, the same one Hope had mentioned. He asked the librarian if he could volunteer. She looked surprised but welcomed him. That day, he helped a young boy find his favorite dinosaur book, helped an elderly woman figure out email, taped torn pages, filed cards. Every day after, he kept showing up. One evening, he found a sticky note inside a book, a smiley face and a message, "You are loved more than you know." It had to be Hope. He asked around. The librarian said she came sometimes after school, but hadn't seen her in weeks. Thomas left notes too now. Dozens messages of light for strangers who might need them as badly as he once did. Months passed. Winter gave way to spring. Thomas kept going to the library, volunteering at shelters, soup kitchens, and eventually mentoring young teens. People started calling him Mr. Sunshine, but he never stopped thinking about hope. One rainy afternoon, he visited the local elementary schools, asking if anyone knew a girl named Hope. No luck, he visited the foster care office. Nothing matched. It was as if she had vanished like a spirit sent just for him. One warm June morning, Thomas was hosting a community breakfast event at the park. He poured orange juice for a group of kids when he heard a familiar voice behind him. "I told you you'd be someone's sky." He turned. There she was, Hope, a little taller, same red coat. Brighter smile. "Where have you been?" he asked, choking back tears. "My new family moved, but I always hoped I'd see you again." He knelt and hugged her. "You saved my life," she whispered. "Maybe you were meant to save mine too." That summer, Thomas started a non-profit, Sky Notes. Its mission was simple: leave handwritten messages of hope in unexpected places: books, park benches, subway seats, hospital waiting rooms. Volunteers joined, donations came, stories poured in from people who had found a note just when they needed it most. The first sticky note ever framed on his office wall: "You matter. You're someone's reason to smile. Be someone's sky today. Hope." And under it, a photograph of a man and a girl on the Brooklyn Bridge. We often search for grand meanings, expecting purpose to come in titles, money, or applause. But sometimes, purpose is a little girl in a red coat who reminds a broken man to look up. Sometimes, the reason for your existence is not a moment of glory, but a quiet morning, a kind word, or a note tucked between forgotten pages. The purpose of life: to see each other, to remind someone they matter, to be someone's sky, even just for a moment.